Hi guys and girls on YouTube, and welcome to my channel. So we've got a video here. I don't know what this is going to turn out like because I'm well out of my depth on this TV. Somebody's asked me to have a look at this Dynatron TV. Let's open it up. Right, it's very dusty. It looks like it's been stored somewhere damp because a piece of this trim's fallen off, but that's intact. I can glue that on, that's not a problem. It looks a bit smoky. So let's have a look. Dynatron. I think the best thing to do is to turn it round first and have a look inside before we do anything. Now this is such a big set, I can't even move it from where it is, so I've just had to set up like a temporary bench so I can perhaps work on it down this side. Let's turn it round and then we can see it better. But it's obviously going by that there, it must have some, it must stand on some wooden legs that the customer didn't bring with it. Right, so that's the back view. Let's take a look at the model. It's a Dynatron CTV 18. Now it's obviously been somewhere for repair at some time because it's got this sticker stuck on the back. I don't know if anybody knows this person. And it's also remote control. The remote control's in there. So what have we got on here? We've got 4 channels, on and off, colour, brightness and volume, and that all goes on this great big piece of wire that goes into the back of the telly there. Now what I have noticed is all the screws are missing apart from one, so somebody's obviously been looking at this, and now pull the remote control out, I can see there's a bag in there with screws and there appears to be some parts in here. Let's have a look what we've got. Something else in here as well. Oh, high voltage capacitor. Another high voltage capacitor there, 350 volt. That looks like it's been leaking for a long time. And 680 at 40 volts, which appears to be brand new. So that was what? That's what was in there. Right, let's undo this single screw and take a look in the back. Actually, before we take the back off, let's have a look at this, because I've just noticed a bag now with some very interesting history. And so here we've got the original Dynatron owner's guarantee. We've got the 1 or 4 year guarantee for the Mullard picture tube. We've got the operating instructions, installation notes, but look at this under here. What a piece of history this is. So it's come from a place called R.M. Marshall Limited. Now when I was a kid there was a TV shop in Buxton that sold new TVs, and they did TV rentals, and it was split down the middle. All down one side was full of TVs and all down the other side was prams. Now if you look at this here, it's got television engineers, prams, records and nursery goods. Now I fail to see the connection between TVs and prams, but this is just like the shop in Buxton. Half of it was TVs and half of it was prams, but it's even got somebody's name on who it was sold to, and it's dated 29th of June 1973. And let's move further down. 26-inch colour telly, CTV 18, serial number. and the price of the telly was £355. Well, back in 1973 that was an absolute fortune. We've got here supplying and fitting new UHF aerial, £14.22. Four-year tube extension was taken out, so the total price with the aerial and everything else was £369.22. What a piece of history that is. And it was paid for on the 13th of the 7th, 73. Yeah, amazing. Right, let's get the back off it now. Right, so that's it with the back off. Straight away you'll see it's a valve hybrid set. If we look down here, I recognise these valves. I've seen these before in a GEC set I once worked on as a kid. And that's the PL82 Luminance output. These are red, green, blue output. I think are the EF184s. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's just pull one out and have a look. No, PCL84. Got that wrong, didn't I? Right, so like I said, I'm well out of my depth on this because I've never seen one of these before. I don't even have a clue where to start, but I've noticed a funny thing there strapped into the side of the chassis. It's like some sort of plug with two pins on, like it's I don't know, some sort of service thing for shorting something out, and the only thing that looks like it might plug into is this connector here going up to the convergence. Now obviously I'm not going to have a service manual for these. I'm going to see if I can perhaps look in the radio TV servicing books, or even have a look on the internet. I'll have to find out what chassis it is. That looks like the focus control up there. This is obviously the line output panel. The transformer will be here. We've got PL509 and PY500A efficiency diode and line output valve. That I would imagine is the frame, because we've got two, what are them, BD124 transistors on, probably frame output. That's, I guess that's vertical hold. You can see the Mullard tube there, A66120X Delta. Now I have had a quick look round this off camera. I can see the odd thing that's been done. There's probably a dry joint or a split in the circuit board there, had been linked over, a resistor's been added there. That cap we saw, that 10 kV cap, I would imagine that's behind here somewhere. Flyback tuning cap possibly. Or something in the line stage anyway. So there's two things I've spotted on a quick visual inspection. One, there's a wire link there that's been cut. Now I don't know whether that's been cut or it's like that for a reason. I don't know. I would imagine it's been cut because there's another one there that haven't been cut. Over here I saw, where is it, down there, there's a resistor there. It would appear to be burnt, like it's burnt out, and it looks like somebody's cut it. Can you see there where it's cut? But that does look like it's burnt out, and that's in the frame. So I mean, really, I don't have a clue where to start on this. I think probably the easiest thing to do is to run it up very, very slowly from a variac and just see what happens. But I would imagine with the resistor cut down there on what looks like the frame board, I would imagine we've got a frame output fault. But that's really all I can say. I'm just out of my depth on this set. But let's see if we can power it up from a variac and see what happens first. Come back in a bit. Right, so I've solved the mystery of this 10 kV cap. It's actually leaky, and that is the replacement that somebody's fitted. Now if you turn this round, you can actually see a burn mark there where it's arced out of the case. Now the worrying thing is there's a big burn there on the line transformer. Now it could be it's just burnt the outer insulation and the transformer's alright, or the transformer could have shorter turns, because I powered this set up very slowly, and I've had it running, and the efficiency diode and the line output valve, they're running, but we've only got about 1 kV on the final anode cavity. Now these are very hot, but they're not glowing as you would expect if you had a short somewhere, so they just seem to be working very hard. Now I'm wondering if the tripler's faulty, or it could be the transformer, which would be a bit of a pity. Let's zoom in there. Can you see where that cap's damaged? That hopefully it's just the plastic, and the windings are intact. Not soldered in very well, is it? Oh, and that's been replaced as well, that cap there, because that's too modern to go in this set. But anyway, the plan now is to disconnect the tripler and just try it again. See what happens then. Now it would be a shame if the line transformer's damaged, because when I get this screening cover off here, it says on there that somebody's already fitted a new line output transformer. So it would be a great shame if that was the problem. But anyway, let's just disconnect the output of the transformer to the input of the tripler and see if we can restore a large arc on that top cap again. Right, so here we go, it's powered up. This is with the tripler disconnected. So we've got a lot better arc there than we had before, so it pretty much looks like the tripler might be faulty. Now, I'm actually wondering if the customer knew the tripler was faulty, because it says in this bag here there's a brand new tripler. So let's fit that in, see what happens. Right, so that's the new tripler fitted. Now what I've done is I've just linked all these different earth wires, because I've just left this out for the moment so I can work on it. So all them earth wires are linked to this board here. Now just up here there's a 10 ohm resistor which is very close to the PL, is it 509 or 519 line output valve. Now 10 ohms usually indicates a wire wound as well, that it's probably in the cathode circuit of the line output valve, because that's where they sense the beam current from. So I've decided to change this cap as well. Now what value is it? 80 microfarad, 25 volt, because if that dries up it'll make the beam limiter come on, we'll have no picture, and you can see the control there that says beam limiter. So anyway, we've got a new 100 mic cap in there. Let's turn it on now and see what happens. On the earthy end of the focus control, I've just got that on a temporary wire link as well. Right, so there we go, it's on. I can hear hissing in the speaker because obviously the sound stays there transistorized. The PY500, that has a very, very slow heater warm up time, so we'll just leave this. It'll probably be a minute and a half, 2 minutes before anything happens. Right, and there we go, a raster or part of a raster has just appeared on it. Let's twist this up and down. What's that brightness? See what that does. Contrast. So we've got contrast, so that bit you can see at the bottom, that's actually frame fold over, because this top of this screen is now lit. If we go like that, you'll see it lit. So we've got bottom frame fold over. Oh, and a little tiny lack of width there. So we've got more on it now than we had before. Now we're going to have to turn attention. Let's just turn it off there. We're going to have to turn attention to the frame output panel, which is transistorized, and it's here. And if you remember, that's where we saw a resistor there that looks like it's burnt out and somebody's cut it. And I've no doubt some of these caps next to these hot running resistors will also need changing. But I think now, I think that's probably all I can do without a circuit diagram. So I'm going to have to see if I can find a diagram and come back to this. Well, look at that. You see how that's in the latch position under that clip there? That one isn't. It's loose. So somebody's already had that board out as well. Definitely been looked at before, this telly. Right, so I've got the frame output panel out now. There's only two plugs, and this little heatsink just unplugs from the chassis. That's the two frame output transistors. Now the resistor I thought was burnt out isn't actually burnt out. The paint's just flaked off it. But as you can see, if I zoom in, it has been cut. Now I really don't know why, because to see what that does I'm going to have to get some sort of a circuit, but I just thought I'd take this out and let you have a quick look at it. I would imagine that most of these caps are actually dried out anyway and they probably want changing, but we need to know what that resistor does. So we'll see if we can get a circuit diagram, come back to it. Okay. Right, so we're back onto this again. It's been a while because I've been busy. So I put 4 new caps down there in the frame, and I've just switched it on. We've had a very, very dim raster now. It's so dim you can hardly see it, but I've noticed down here, just there, there's a resistor burning up, and that is R356. So let's have a look at the manual. R356. Right, so there it is, R356 2.7K. That's burning up. Now if you follow that down, it's actually where are we going to here? It's actually right, there it is. It's the screen grid feed for the Luminance output valve, the PL802. So what I've done is I've removed that capacitor there, which is the screen grid decoupling, and that decoupling capacitor, that one's completely open circuit and that's not very good. So I've changed them two next. I've actually measured the resistor. I'll just leave that for the minute because it is still working. It's measuring about 2.8K. But also I've found, now I've got this board out, that there's loads and loads of dry joints on it, and as you would expect, all the pins on the Luminance output valve are dry jointed. So let's just take a quick look at that first. And there you go, that's the Luminance output valve there. You can see all of them need resoldering, but also the colour difference output valves, they're all dry jointed as well. So there is a lot of work to actually do on this panel before we turn it on again. Right, so I've resoldered more or less every connection on that panel. I've changed the screen grid decoupling capacitors for the Luminance output valve, and the set is now on. You can see the valves are lit up. Let's have a look around the front. We have a raster, and also the frame problem's gone. Now the tube doesn't look as good in person as it does looking at it on the camera, but you can see it's on. Right, what we need to do now is get a signal connected to this TV, which is a bit of a problem because I'm down here and the signal source is right down there. So we're going to have to run a wire right down here, and then we'll see if we can tune anything in. But yeah, looking a lot better than it was a few hours ago. Right, so here we go. That's looking quite promising. I've just got to find where the horizontal hold is now. But yeah, we're tuning something, or nearly anyway. Right, let's just have a look for that control. I presume it's this one sticking out here because that's the line oscillator valve that somebody's already resoldered. So let's give that a quick twizz. Right, so that's the horizontal hold. Now we need to adjust the vertical hold. We don't have any sound and we don't appear to have any colour yet, but I would imagine that this one sticking out the back here is the vertical hold. So let's give that one a twizz next. Right, so as you can see, we've now got a locked picture with no colour and no sound. But it looks like we've got a smoothing fault as well. So I'll maybe take a look over at the HT reservoir capacitor now. But yeah, we're getting there. We've got more picture on it than we had before. In fact, that smoothing fault looks like it's just gone away. Oh, no, it's back again. Right, so I'm going to have to check some more capacitors. This time, I think they're on the where the line output stages. I think we have to pull that out to check the caps down there. But it's getting there. We've got it on. No sound, no colour yet, though. Right, come back in a bit when I've done a bit more work. And just for those who are wondering what the signal source is I'm using, you can see it's a Skybox. Right, let's take a quick look around the back. Look down there. That's the efficiency diode and line output valve running. Colour difference output and luminance. And we can't see the line oscillator valve, that's behind there. Tube, we can see that lit. Right, time to do a little bit more work and I'll come back to this. Right, so I've tested the main reservoir capacitor, which is down here. You just see the red one there, and there's two sections and one can. I think one's 300 mic, the other's 200. The 200 mic one's about 50 microfarads down. Now I haven't got one of them cans. I'd have to probably make something up, but that'd be a bit silly until we actually get the set going. So what I've done is I've temporarily hooked on, I'll just shine a light on it there, you can see it. I've just hooked on a 47 microfarad capacitor while we look for these other faults, the sound fault and the colour fault. So that's on, this set is actually on. Let's have a look round the front what we've got now. And there you go, that is the result. We've got a slightly tired tube because the grayscale changes when you move the brightness up and down. But we've got a reasonably watchable picture, and also the sound's back.
Silver or other rich colours make them shimmer.
It's very, very low, you can only just hear it, but we do have sound now and a stable picture.
Has an artist on site who's keeping keeping the tradition alive.
Tony, who is the cathedral illuminator. Okay, so that's...
Right, so back to this again. I was looking at it. I got a picture but no colour. The phone rang and I came back. And look at that, we've lost the vision now. We've got sound,
Private guardian? Yeah, I'm forced into a nursing home.
but we don't have any vision now. I've had to get the oscilloscope out to look for this. I've got a signal here on this capacitor, but it's not coming out on this yellow plug. And I'll take you over to the service manual. It looks like that transistor down there could have gone faulty. Let's just have a look at the service manual. Here we go. If you look at that, we've got a signal on the base of that transistor, comes with that capacitor, but it's not emerging on that yellow plug. So what's in between that? A transistor, a couple of biasing resistors, but the chances are, because this is a lock fit transistor, they're notoriously unreliable. I would imagine it's that, but anyway, let's test it and see. Right, well, that transistor does appear to test faulty in circuit, but I'm going to have to remove it just to make sure. But if you remember, we had no sound initially, and then the sound came on. It's very, very low, the sound, so we've still got another problem. But I did find if I tap the IF panel, the sound will actually come on now. While I've got it down looking at that transistor, I've spotted on there is a dry joint. Let's see if we can zoom in there. So we have a dry joint there, and also these earthing points are dry jointed. So it looks like we need a bit of a solder round here as well. There's another one that's very good. So I'll remove the transistor. We'll have a solder round. I'll do that joint there, and hopefully that should cure the no sound. I mean, the sound's very low. We've still got other problems, but this is just getting like from bad to worse. Right, let's get that transistor out first, see how we go from there. Yeah, that transistor has indeed failed. If you look at this, it says diode or diode junction, so we've got the green connection open circuit. I'm not sure what's the middle one anyway on these. Is it the collector? I don't know, I can't remember now. Anyway, let's go and look for another one of these. BF194. Right, come back in a minute. Right, okay, so I've got another transistor now. I've tested that, and it's the middle is the emitter, the green wire, so it's an open circuit emitter on that. But anyway, let's get the new one in. Right, so that new transistor has cured the vision fault, but the AFC seems to be knocking it off tune when you change channel. So we seem to have still a problem on the IF strip here. Right, so it's another day and we're back on this again. Now if you remember, I've got it tuned in, but the AFC seems to be pulling it off tune, but I can't make my mind up whether it's a fault in the AFC circuit or if it's the actual tuner itself that's drifting, or it's something wrong with the tuning potentiometer or the 30 volt stabilised supply. So I've looked at this and I reckon this is the AFC circuit here. I reckon if we unplug this plug and join these two pins together with a, let's just have a look. Right, join these two pins here together with a 6.8k resistor, which is the same as what we've got there. That will bypass the AFC circuit and will feed the voltage to the tuner. Is it that one there? We'll feed it to the tuner straight from the tuning control on the front. So that's the next move. Unplug that plug, join them two with a resistor, and just see what happens. Right, so here we go. It's PL6B and D, is it? That there is PL6. So we're going to unplug that and join that and that together with a 6.8k resistor. I'll just shove it in the holes like that. And hopefully that should defeat the whole of the AFC circuit, and then we'll be able to see where the tuning drift's coming from. Whether it is the tuning drift or the AFC's pulling it off tune. Right, so there we go. That is the resistor in place of that plug, which I've unplugged from there. And if we look at the result now, when you change channel, that's cured that problem. So it is the AFC that's pulling it off tune. Now, if you're wondering now why I've got colour, because I've actually just overridden the colour killer with 2 crocodiles and another resistor there, because that's another fault on it we've got to come back to. But for the minute, we've got to investigate the problem with the AFC circuit now pulling it off tune. Right, well, unfortunately we've come to the end of the video. I'm not going to do any more on this telly. I've spent hours and hours on this trying to get it going. I was just looking over here on the signals panel and there was a large crack, and it looks like the line output transformer set on fire. It was certainly something burning down there and I've had to blow it out. So I'm just going to take this panel out and have a look. But it looks very much like it's the line output transformer. Yeah, it's difficult to see because it's right under there, but I'll get this little mirror in. Can you see it on the camera or not? Not really, but you can see. Have a look. Yeah, just about see it there where it's all fired up and burnt. It looks like it's probably arced out to the core and started a fire. So yeah, that's just hours and hours wasted. So I might as well take out that new tripler because this set ain't going anywhere. So there we go, guys and girls, that's the new tripler out. Unfortunately a non-starter. I did try, but that is the downside trying to repair something that's so old. And if we look on the back there, it has somebody's name on the back. That's presumably whoever fitted, well, might have fitted the new line transformer, or it might have done some other repair on it in the past. But there we go. So many thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one then. Goodbye.